Hello once again, everyone. It's Original Blood Ace here, and it's 2 in the morning, but I had to do this video because, well, it's an interesting story. And before I get into it, I want to say, yes, I know I said I was going to do my Bayonetta 2 review. That's still coming. I know, and I keep pushing that off and off. It should be up tomorrow, hopefully. Or today, I guess, because it's already, in the morning. But anyway, the story is, are we talking NX, a different console, the Nintendo future, whatever. Here's the story, though. Nintendo files a patent for a game console without an optical disc drive. Now, if you don't know what that means, what an optical disc drive is, if you're a kid or whatever, you probably do because kids these days are pretty smart, but at the same time pretty stupid. But anyway, optical disc drive is the part of a console that reads, the discs. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, some people are freaking out because there's a great number of different ways this could go. First of all, we don't even know if it's actually targeting the NX, this whole thing. Let's assume that it is. Now, first thought that comes to mind is, what have I been saying about the NX the whole time? And while it's still not confirmed, I'm just going to reiterate, NX, I believe, is the next handheld console. Some people, for some stupid reason, have a wire crossed in their brain and they don't consider a handheld console to be a dedicated game console or a stationary game console. So, I don't know. But anyway, I still think NX is the next handheld, handheld, the 3DS successor. So, hell, no handheld system from Nintendo, Game Boy, DS, 3DS, whatever, has always had cartridges, never discs, so wouldn't that make sense? Now, another possibility that some people are worried about is, say the NX turns out to be a home console, which I don't think it is, but let's say it does, that this could mean an all-digital game home console, that Nintendo would be the one to first and foremost go into that market, to dive on in, because everyone knows eventually that's the way the market's going, the industry is going to all digital. I don't like that, not many people do, but that is a theory that we can talk about in this discussion video. Now, let's be honest, if NX becomes a home console, and it's all digital, no physical games whatsoever, well, that's going to be bad across the board. That will be the king on top of the mountain of stupid decisions that Nintendo has done. And I don't mean just for fans, because most fans are pretty much going to be pissed. That's probably also, well, not probably, it will also really hurt stores. Mostly ones that are game specific, like GameStop / EB Games and whatnot. Now, granted, yes, they sell PlayStation and Xbox, but what does history show us? Sony and Microsoft like to follow Nintendo in certain ways and certain places. So, if Nintendo were to go all digital, Microsoft and Sony would try that. Although Microsoft did try at the beginning with DRM and all that crap and hinting at, that future, and no one seemed to like it. But, point is, if Nintendo does it, others will follow, and the stores will not be happy. Now, that's not the only possibility for this thing. It could also mean, and I would be perfectly fine with this, that Nintendo, we're assuming here that NX is a home console, let's say that. What if, let's look in the past, NES, Super Nintendo, and N64 all had cartridges, flash memory. Nowadays, SD cards can hold more than Blu-ray discs. Think about that. Flash memory is cheaper, and Nintendo has a habit of being able to expand on technology that was old back in the day, but is now better than back then. So, let's say, and I highly doubt this is going to happen, but it would be awesome if it did. Let's say NX is a home console, and without a disc drive, it means they're going back to cartridges, meaning back to N64 type cartridges, where you buy an NX game, it comes in like an N64 cardboard box, and you get not a cardboard cartridge, that wouldn't make sense, a cartridge inside the box that you would just plug into your console, and there you go. I'd be fine with that. Flash memory is faster. You don't have to install your stuff to the game or to the system. I mean, you still don't with Wii U, but each individual game cartridge would have your saved data on that disc instead of saving it to the console. There's literally, and nowadays with these flash things, or flash memory, developers have a lot more space than they did in the past. so they could not have the excuse, we can't fit enough on there, blah blah blah. Now, again, let's say this is true, this whole thing with cartridges coming back. While I'd like that, that does have a few cons with it, as any decision in the industry really does will have pros and cons. The con here is, especially with indie developers, and anyone who likes to spam DLC really, this will kill off DLC basically, because with a flash, and well, I mean, you could have read and writable cartridges, I suppose. For the most part, with all that space on a cartridge, you're pretty much giving developers like, all right, you got like 128 gigabytes here to work with, to fill it up with stuff. So if they decide, hey, I'm going to put 50 gigabytes on a cartridge, and then leave the other, what is that, 78 gigabytes free just for DLC, you kind of know that's a bit of a slimy business decision. But I don't know. So those are really the possibilities. There is one other one. It's kind of out there and it's kind of crazy, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. It could be a completely new thing that Nintendo has invented, has cooked up in their magic hat. Who was to say it wouldn't be the first time with Wii U discs? I mean, yes, they're still discs, but they're an improved Blu-ray disc that Nintendo themselves invented and improved upon. So it wouldn't be too surprising if Nintendo came up with some weird contraption. Hell, imagine Amiibos were the fucking game. You buy an Amiibo for $60, and that's also the game. You just scan it. I don't know. Either way, it's an interesting news article. I don't think we need to freak out, but whatever. And also, apparently, the patent says the console features a controller with a display screen and speed control processing. So as for the display screen, that could also be said. I heard someone joke about like, oh, it's a Wii U XL, which would be fucking awful. And a Wii U XL without physical games. But anyway, what was I fucking talking about? I lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, the controller idea, or part of it. You could also say the bottom half of the 3DS is the controller for the 3DS. So it doesn't discount that this could indeed still be the new handheld, and I still think that's what it is. If I'm wrong, then fuck it. It's one of those rare times I'm fucking wrong. But I don't think that it would be a home console. The 3DS has been out too long. Well, not too long, but it's getting near the end of its life. It's slowing down. It's not getting flooded with amazing games anymore. It gets a few here and there now. It would just make sense. I even heard someone say it was like, oh, it's a Nintendo phone. But yeah, no, that'd be stupid. Especially after with their partnership with DNA going with iPads or iPhones and Android and iOS. But anyway, let's see here. What else was there? So the excerpt here is: an example system includes an internal hard disk drive storing a program and or data, a communication unit transmitting receiving a program and a data via a network, and a processor executing a program stored in the hard disk drive to perform game processing. The example system is not provided with an optical disk drive for reading out a program and or data from an optical disk. So, I don't know. Also, if the NX is a home console, which again I'm saying it's probably not, I don't believe so. If it is, it's probably safe to say it'll have its own funky controller. Because NES had its own controller. SNES, it had a similar controller, but they added the shoulder buttons and rounded it up. N64 had the crazy tri-controller. And what I mean by that is it has, 3 points to grab it at. Because I guess back then us 90s kids had 3 arms. And GameCube was kind of like a super hybrid of the Super Nintendo controller in a way. Although every controller takes the basis from the Super Nintendo controller nowadays. Then of course the Wii with the Wii Remote, gamepad on the Wii U. So if NX is a home console, it's going to have a new crazy controller. It's not to say they won't use the gamepad as a controller, like how the Wii U can use Wii Remotes. But anyway, as for speed control processing, that's not an area I'm an expert in. I don't really, it's not my area of expertise. But anyway, I guess that's it for this OBA discussion video, talking about Maybe NX, maybe something else. And I've heard some people saying, like, oh, it's quality of life console or something. No, we already heard the quality of life is about health stuff, and it was a sleep monitoring patent and all that shit. So, whatever. That'll do it for this video. I'm Original Blood Ice. As always, stay tuned. More videos coming soon, as always.